Welcome to the Film Dungeon Commentary presenting Jason Goes to Hell. Film Dungeon Commentary is part of the Radio of Horror Network. If you do not have a copy of the movie, you can listen to this like one giant review of the film. But if you'd like to listen to it, you can. I am your host, Dr. Chris.
And I'm Mistress Zeneca.
And we host the Dead TV Podcast, a podcast dedicated to all the canceled TV series in the science fiction, fantasy, and horror genre. We have done one other of these commentaries. We did Constantine, and we did. Did we do Spawn?
Yeah,
we did Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we did Spawn. But now we're doing Jason Goes to Hell because we had John D Lemay on our show, the Dead TV Podcast, as he was in Friday the 13th TV series, seasons 1 and 2, and he's basically like the male lead kind of star of Jason Goes to Hell. We are going to begin the commentary with the screen black. It will read 000 across the counter. This is the rated R version that appears on Netflix and on DVD. There is an unrated version, but I will point out some of the unrated scenes as we go along. Again, you don't need your DVD to follow along with us. Play now. And we should have the New Line Cinema swirling into view. New Line Home Entertainment. Now, I don't know. I don't really remember or care what the first movie New Line Cinema put out was, but the big movie that they were put on the map for was The Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984, directed by Wes Craven, the late great Wes Craven.
Oh, that was a great movie. Oh my
God,
that was a great movie.
Do you know what the last movie New Line Cinema put out before they were folded into Warner Brothers?
No. What was the movie?
The Academy Award-winning film of 11 Academy Awards, including Best Director and Best Picture, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King.
Really? That
Yep,
was the last one?
That was the last one before Warner Brothers folded New Line in.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I would have thought they would have kept it open because of the success of that film.
No, Warner Brothers acquired New Line and they kind of folded them into the company. I mean, they still put out a film here or there, but their logo very rarely ever shows up. It's sporadic. You know, they were on the Friday the 13th remake. They were on Freddy vs. Jason, which came out the same year as Return of the King. But their logo has been sadly missed. But they're a Warner Brothers production company now, so they kind of produce through Warner Brothers. They're not their own film studio. One of the biggest independent hits of New Line Cinema, by the way, was in 1990. They took a little chance to distribute a little movie by Gold Harvest Entertainment, which became the highest-grossing independent movie of all time until The Blair Witch Project, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie.
Oh.
Made for about $23 million and grossed over 100.
Oh, now here's the first bit of exciting part in the movie. We have
our smoking hot camper showing up at Crystal Lake.
Yeah, and the bulb just burned out. So
oh, that's a cool effect. It looks like it caught fire.
Yeah, just like the monofilament just pops like that.
Yeah. When I was let's see. Well, you've never seen this movie. In fact, you told me a horrible secret today that you've only ever seen Friday the 13th, the final chapter, or as Steve Barton from DreadCentral.com used to call it, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, my fat fucking ass, because it definitely was not the final chapter.
Yes, that is true. Like, I haven't actually watched all of the Friday the 13th Halloween franchises, Freddy franchises. I pretty much have only seen 1 or 2 films out of any individual franchise, just because I'm not really into the slasher horror films. It's just not my bag. I'm into zombies, vampires, yes, but zombies mainly, and the slasher gory films, I really like more suspense with it than, Jason stalking people. Campers all night. It's
now
fun,
the hat.
but
Now, did you notice the hat she's wearing is a New York? I think that's the New York Knicks.
The Knicks hat?
Isn't it? Is that the Mets or the Knicks?
What is that?
It's blue with a orange N and Y.
Is that the Mets? I don't follow sports, so I don't really know the logos.
Right there on her head.
Yes.
The actress is
Except
Julie
her hair.
Michaels. Very, 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 very pretty. Best known for playing opposite Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
And she was also in Point Break. And she currently is on SEAL Team, which I don't watch, but stars David Boreanaz from Angel and Bones.
Ooh, and this is our first gratuitous nudity shot.
She works out.
She does. She does. So I'm going to take a drink. I'm drinking Diet Coke, and my mother has made cranberry liqueur, so I'm having Diet Coke and cranberry.
Good God, does she work out? I mean, there is just no fat on that body. It's just muscle.
Do you think that same person did the stunt?
Whoa! Oops.
Because I've seen bits and pieces of this movie, you know, here and there, little clips of, like, fight scenes and whatnot. Like, how athletic do you have to be as a ingenue in this movie?
She definitely has Roby's hair from Friday the 13th, the series.
It's quite large.
Oh, she was on Jane the Virgin. Yeah, she probably did her own stunts because she's a stunt coordinator. Sorry, on SEAL Team and Jane the Virgin, which I didn't realize Jane the Virgin needed stunts. Does not strike me as a show that needs stunts. Oh, there's Kane Hodder as Jason. So Kane Hodder plays Jason Voorhees at the beginning and the end of the movie, and he has a cameo coming up very soon. Hopefully she goes back for her car. Oh, why doesn't she get in her car?
Well, I mean, she is only dressed in a towel. She doesn't have her keys.
You think she'd keep a spare set in the car?
I don't know. Would you keep your keys in the car? Like, I know it appears in a lot of movies, but I would never leave my keys in the car.
I think Jason smelt her because he was like, oh, someone's getting naked in my cabin. Gonna go kill him.
Yeah. He doesn't like nudity or drugs.
Well, it's because that's what people were doing when he drowned as a boy. So it triggers him. It's a triggering, you know.
Does he need a safe space?
Yeah, he needs a safe space. Camp Crystal Lake is his safe space. That's where he goes to kill people.
Yep. Oh.
By the way, so most of the soundtrack for this movie is abysmal. It's not the music that you're familiar with from Friday the 13th at all in any way, shape, or form. It's really unfortunate. So they also look like, man, they just come out of nowhere and they just start pummeling him. Little squibs exploding on his body every 5 seconds, which he said hurt. Man, he's taking a lot of bullets and still standing.
He keeps going.
And he's also moaning, too, which is unusual, because Jason usually doesn't talk at all.
Oh, yeah. Now that is one heck of an explosion. There's pieces of him falling everywhere. It's just everywhere.
Now, okay, so here's Clayton Duke.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was worried that scene was only in the unrated version, but no, it's there too.
Which scene with the
with Clayton Duke?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, notice the mask is to the left of the beating heart.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we never see the mask again until the end of the movie, the exception of when it's seen in like a mirror shot, is the director of Friday the 13th, Sean Cunningham, who lost the battle in court recently with Victor Miller over the rights to Jason and Friday the 13th, didn't want the mask in the movie anymore. He hated the hockey mask. He hated Jason coming back, first of all. But he had the director do something different, and that's why we had this body swapping story. And that's why the heart is prevalent. It's not like the mask. People would think, why is it the heart? Why is it like people put the mask on and they're possessed by the spirit of Jason? Wouldn't that make more sense? In like as much of a
like Jim Carrey in The Mask.
like as much sense as that would possibly make?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. The mask changes you into a Looney Tunes kind of crazy person. This mask turns you into a serial killer.
Well, wouldn't it be the Jason serial killer if he put on this magical mask and they'd become Jason Voorhees?
The Jim Carrey mask?
No, like if the mask were the object that were possessed, not the heart, that they had to destroy the mask instead.
No, what I'm saying is that the mask should be the focal point of the entire movie, and people running around should be wearing Jason's mask, not like spitting demons up into people's throats. Which is what happens, basically. We get the hell demon scene coming up at some point. We'll get to it. This actor, by the way, currently is on. Currently, I wouldn't say currently as a. He is Wilson Fisk's attorney on Daredevil.
In Daredevil, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the mortician. He looks almost identical to the way he does now, with the exception he has like some white skunk hair.
Yeah, he has one of those recognizable faces.
Yeah, he does not aged very much at all, but he currently plays the Kingpin's attorney.
Huh. Yeah, now that's a lot of pieces because he was exploded.
Richard Gant is his name. He was also in Rocky V and The Big Lebowski.
Ooh. Love that movie.
You know what's funny is that I'm looking up information on the cast for Friday the 13th, the Jason Goes to Hell, the movie we're watching, and all I keep getting is bombarded with on IMDb is images and advertisements for Hannah, the TV series, based on the movie.
Really?
Yeah, it's an Amazon show now. It's about the girl who was raised by her military father in the woods.
Oh wow, the advertising on mine is for Miss Bala. On my IMDb.
Oh, the movie that's currently in theaters, starring
yeah.
Gina Rodriguez. Yeah, I actually kind of want to see that.
So this mortician is really not looking forward to doing this job, huh?
Well, yeah, there's like over a couple hundred bullets in his body. He has to pull out every single bullet. Every bullet has to be counted.
I mean, from what's left, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of bullets that just kind of sprayed the area going all the way through him.
I kind of want a hamburger right now watching this. Harry Manfredi did the music, which is unusual considering he did the music for part 1. That music is better. He's also the composer for the music for the video game, where you get to play as this version of Jason.
Oh.
The effects in the movie, of course, done by K&B Effects Company, best known for doing The Walking Dead right now.
Awesome.
There's a great little YouTube video you can go online and watch about the history of Jason Goes to Hell and Adam Marcus and how it killed the Friday the 13th franchise. Definitely worth checking out. It's like 30 minutes long, but it's really, really good. Really worth watching.
You know, I heard, as I was doing some research on the movie itself before I actually watched the movie, I heard that Adam Marcus actually added a little bit of the Evil Dead to the mythos for Jason Voorhees.
Yes, we'll get there later on.
Okay.
Little bit later on. So that heart is like a raspberry jam concoction made just prior to filming this scene. So when he bites into it in a few seconds, he's not putting something in his mouth that he can't at least digest pieces of.
Yeah, I mean that looks actually very disgusting.
It is, but it actually tastes very good. I wouldn't say it's probably a meal, but it's at least something that when he bites into it,
Oh yeah. I I hear here in the IMDb trivia that Richard Gant reportedly nearly threw up during this take. Ugh. He's like entranced by this heart.
Yeah, it's the weird thing. It's like the heart supposedly has like hypnotic supernatural powers, which is never really explained. We're just kind of left to be like, oh, we'll figure it out.
Oh. I mean, just the idea that he's there's the nearly gagging. Okay. Just the idea that he's like eating Jason Voorhees' shot up barbecued heart. It's gross. Oh, and there's the heartburn. It's just indigestible. Okay, so now Jason is inside the mortician, right?
Right.
Does this movie ever go into like, is this Jason's soul? That light shiny part?
Yeah, we'll just watch it.
Okay.
Dean Lorey plays the assistant coroner, who's getting groped by Jason right now. Excuse me. Sorry, Kane Hodder. What's funny is that he doesn't have much of a acting career, but he's been an executive producer on so many shows. This is only one of 2 acting gigs he's ever done, but he's worked on Till Death, Arrested Development, The Crazy Ones, and currently iZombie. And now is the executive producer on the upcoming Harley Quinn TV series.
Wow. Oh, and Jason does not like being insulted.
Yeah, it's actually an animated series, excuse me, but it's going to be on the DC streaming app that currently Teen Titans appears on. And Swamp Thing is coming too, which, by the way, Swamp Thing was cast. It's going to be played by Derek Mears, who played Jason in the Friday the 13th remake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he has now been cast as Swamp Thing in the upcoming Swamp Thing TV series coming out in May.
So you can actually see that it's Jason's spirit inside the body when he walks past a mirror.
That's what we're led to believe, yeah. He ain't nothing but a big pussy. And that's funny considering he's the guy who got blown up. He's the actor in the costume.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, because he's Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, he's Jason, so he's calling himself a pussy. He ain't nothing but a big old pussy.
And then he's dead.
Now, what TV series was this kind of an homage to, or supposed to be copycatting or mirroring?
Like one of those Nightline shows?
Yeah, okay. This is Stephen Culp.
On a very special episode.
Still acting to this day. He's on the Amazon series Bosch. He was in Zoo, Revolution, Desperate Housewives for 31 episodes, Saving Grace, The Traveler, The West Wing, Jag, Star Trek Enterprise, ER.
So the bounty hunter is dressed like a cowboy, and I heard that the actor actually would only play the bounty hunter if he could dress like a cowboy.
Yeah, this is Stephen Williams, best known for being on 21 Jump Street and playing X on the X-Files, and Rufus on Supernatural.
He's playing this pretty intense, actually.
Young girl in a dress sticking a hot dog through a donut.
Yeah.
Makes him think of Jason Voorhees.
That doesn't really make much sense, other than trying to insult Jason.
I think he is just trying to gauge the guy's reaction.
Okay, so tell us the way to kill him. Yes, we want Jason truly dead. Tell us.
We'll never know until we get to a scene later on in the movie. Quite a character, he says.
Okay, so his remains went to Crystal Lake, and there's 5 Jason killings, and they're immediately not saying that there's a copycat killer out there. Are they? Does the news?
I never
know
said
some
it was
sort of, like, supernatural creature that Jason is.
I never said that was the most intelligently written script.
Ooh, here's Aaron Gray.
Yes, of Buck Rogers fame. I met Aaron Gray at the Boston Comic Con in 2013, 2014. I went on Sunday, and I wanted to meet Kristen Bauer, who played Pam on True Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Gray represents actors and actresses. She's an agent now. And when she handed me her business card, when I asked if I could get an interview with Kristen later on, she said, yeah, give me a call and we'll try and set something up for you. And she handed me her card, and I read it as Aaron Gray.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at her, and she's wearing a hat and sunglasses and a scarf. And she undoes the scarf. She takes off her sunglasses and then undoes her hair out of the hat or whatever and flips it around. She's like, Aaron Gray. When I asked her, Aaron Gray of Buck Rogers, and that's when she undid her disguise, and she looked at me and she said, "I am one and the same." And I told her I've had the biggest crush on her since I was a kid, and I've always wanted to meet her, and she was one of my favorite actresses growing up, on that and Silver Spoons. And then of course we talked about Jason Goes to Hell. And I asked her about the scene at the end of the movie, which we will get to, and she's like, "That wasn't me, but yeah, wasn't that something?" I was like, you took that poker from the fireplace like a champ." And she's like, "Didn't hurt as bad as you think it did." And I asked her for a picture, and we took a picture together.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is her boyfriend, the sheriff of the town, played by Billy Greenbush.
Yeah, I've met Aaron Gray a couple of times in San Diego at the San Diego Comic Book Convention. She is regular, or was regular. I'm not sure if she still does that convention. But she does the convention route, meeting everyone, meeting fans. And I recently went to Dragon Con, and she was supposed to do Tai Chi classes. I took a different class. I wasn't able to take her Tai Chi workshop. I probably will next Dragon Con, just to see her again and say hi and whatnot. But every time I met her at San Diego, she was a wonderful person, very friendly, very personable, loves her fans, and, I mean, she's just as beautiful inside and out, really, truly.
The sheriff, Billy Greenbush, a lot of people might remember him as Jay Brown, the father in Critters.
Oh.
The little furry alien.
Yeah, I remember those guys.
Yeah. They just all 4 movies just came out on Blu-ray in HD.
I love that they just eat and eat and eat.
What's funny is the the kid who was in Critters 1 and 2 is now one of the stars of the Orville, Scott Green. But what's weird is that Billy's by the way, Billy's career goes from 1963, and then this was his last thing he was ever in. Jason Goes to Hell, but he's still alive today.
John D Lemay rocking out in the car.
I wonder what happened to him after Jason Goes to Hell, even though IMDb still lists him as living.
Well, you get out of the acting, gig.
Yeah, this is John D Lemay, who you can go to our episode Friday the 13th, the series, season 3, episode 1. We interviewed John, and he talks about Friday the 13th. Go to that podcast, check it out. You get all the information about John's time working on the movie. Now, here are my 3 favorite characters, especially the redhead sitting right next to John, who immediately has a crush on him and wants him to come camping with them, which thankfully he does not. Otherwise, we wouldn't really have much of a movie.
Yeah, she's extremely flirtatious. She's really all about John.
But, Jason would have gotten to his baby mama and baby pretty fast without John there. This isn't like, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where if Indy had never been involved, the Nazis would have still opened the Ark and killed themselves. John is instrumental to this plot line.
So they were just hitchhiking over to Crystal Lake, right?
Yeah, they figure with Jason dead, they'll go camping at Crystal Lake because there's nowhere else to go camping in New Jersey, apparently. Come on. Gonna go skippy dipping. You can go dip inside me. That's basically what she's saying.
Well, yeah, she's inviting him to share a tent.
Yeah, pitch a tent.
Yeah.
Oh,
a little kiss on the cheek.
So this is Catherine Atwood. She plays blonde camper number 1. Oh, not number 1, but she's blonde camper. She's only been in a couple of things, and she kind of disappeared after that.
She's got great dimples.
Another one of these actresses I would love to have on the show, just to be like, hey, so talk about Jason Goes to Hell, because you got some scenes, you got a nude scene. Mm-hmm. You get killed.
I mean, because they're just tempting fate, Jason is dead, and now we can party, but there's no copycat killers, even though there's 5 deaths that have that type of fingerprint mark to them.
Apparently, she's still doing stuff.
Take a drink.
She's doing stuff. She was on Twitter. She did an interview for a blog recently. Oh, recently, like 3 years ago.
That's still recent.
And she has her nude scene right there. With her perfect body. She reminds me of Deborah Ann Wall. She was she plays Karen Page on Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
And she was on all 6 seasons of True Blood.
Oh. That is one vampire series that I never got a chance to see because at the time I did not have access to the channel.
Oh, weird fun fact about Billy Greenwood. Did you know there was a Elvis biography TV series only lasted 1 season?
Elvis biography TV series? What? No, I did not know this was on.
Yeah, it was in 1990, and Billy the sheriff plays Vernon Presley, Elvis's father.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So she can't obviously listen to the sounds of her 2 best friends having sex. Now, so just to explain a little bit, the unrated version has a scene coming up where not my love right here in in the sleeping bag, but her friend is riding on top of her boyfriend in mid-orgasm, and Jason comes up behind her with the pike and stabs her through it. Now, what we're gonna see is him stabbing through the tent, him cutting to the boyfriend's reaction, and then just the outside shot of the tent, and then him walking away. The unrated versions would have the spike going through her body and ripping her in half while she is coming on her boyfriend with her titties juggling in front of the camera.
Oh my God. That is one hell of a scene for an unrated version. Oh my God.
Well, that's why they had to cut it, because to make it...
Yeah, of course.
To get an R rating, yeah. I mean, her friend invited her in. She could have had at least one last, good time before she gets killed by Jason.
Yeah, but is it better to have no dick than bad dick?
Maybe she would have shared the dick. Maybe she would have been eating her friend out. I don't know. I mean, she invited her in the tent clearly to have a threesome. I mean...
Yes.
I really want to interview this woman.
Track her down, Social media is everything these days.
Yeah. Michael B. Silver plays Boy Camper, as he is called, and the girlfriend is dark-haired Camper. He was recently on Supernatural. He's been on Suits, Law and Order, Royal Pains. His career is still continuing. What is it that John told us that he did after he left Friday the 13th, the series?
Oh, he went on tours of baseball stadiums.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he really didn't do anything after Jason Goes to Hell. He became kind of a theater person.
I mean,
right?
I loved him in whatever I saw, so I believe the productions that he worked on would have probably been just as good.
Oh, put that condom on, you'll live longer.
Yeah, toss away the condom. No. I don't like these things. Well, do you want a baby?
I'll just pull out. Come on, you.
No.
Did they have birth control in 1993?
Of course they did.
Okay, I didn't know when birth control was invented.
The pill was invented, forget the exact time, but it was like late 60s, early 70s.
Right.
Or mid-60s? I'm not sure.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so the camera pans down more in the unrated version. Also, I think the unrated version is widescreen, so we do definitely see some bouncy titties.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right there. So that is seen from his perspective of her getting ripped in half. Right through the gut, ripped in through the torso, right up between the tits and through the shoulder.
Oh, geez, yeah.
It is gruesomely violent.
Brutal.
Yeah, it is really, really brutal. A couple other scenes that are cut out, which, by the way, in the Friday the 13th comic book, which was published by Topps Comics. Topps Comics published baseball cards. I mean, Topps, the company, mostly known for baseball cards. They also published comic books in the 90s. They really got into comics because the industry was booming before the collapse in 1996. They published comic books for a lot of horror movies like Jason Goes to Hell, Jurassic Park, The X-Files, Cadillac and Dinosaurs, Necrophager, which I think is a Neil Gaiman comic, and a couple others. So they really broke into the comic book industry, and the X-Files comic book sold like crazy because the X-Files TV series was so hot. It took a little while to track these issues down, but issue number 1 of the Topps comic book has a glow-in-the-dark Jason mask on it. Issue number 2 has what I believe to be the camper from the beginning of the movie, the FBI agent, or it's Aaron Gray's character, the daughter, who we haven't been introduced to yet. Standing in front of a mirror with Jason behind her. And then the third one has Jason reaching out as the demons are trying to pull him down to hell. At no point do the covers or the pack-in cards, now there's cards in the comic book as well, the cards do not show the various people who played Jason. It's mostly scenes of the main characters and the different scenes that Jason is actually in.
Okay.
This would be the perfect time to grab her. I don't know what Jason is not afraid to get what he wants right away. I mean, he's all about stalking the prey, but that would have been the perfect time to snap this guy's neck and then, face fuck his sister with his demon tongue cock. Say that 10 times fast.
Demon tongue cock. Demon tongue cock. Demon tongue cock. Demon tongue cock.
You almost said demon cunt cock.
So these comic books, could you get them on eBay or something?
I had to track them down on eBay years later. I didn't buy them when they first came out, but I did track them down on eBay. I don't think I paid more than like $5 for one issue. The other two issues I probably only spent like a couple bucks on. Which, at the time, when the comic books were coming out, the average price of a comic book was $1.25. Each of these comic books are $3 each.
Collector's items.
Yeah, Topps was a bit expensive on their comic books, but they were an independent company. As much. This is just. Right. I mean, the amount of strength it takes to squish someone's head with the door in one hit. And I'm not talking like beating them in the head with the door over and over again.
That was a squish.
All right, so this is Mistress Zeneca's normal Saturday night right here.
Okay.
Her and her husband.
I do not do the forcible shaving, what looks like here, but yeah, the position is fairly common for us. So why is
non-consensual shaving is not okay?
No, non-consensual shaving is not okay.
Just strap a partner down, start shaving them. There is no explanation. It's the stupidest thing in the world. I honestly, a lot of people hate this scene, and it has nothing to do with being anti-gay or whatever. None of that comes into context. The point is, this makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. Why he is stripped naked and shaved like this when he transfers grabbing something in every other scene.
He wants a body with the right facial structure. He wants a body with no hair on his face to transfer into.
Don't. I just said don't try and justify it. It doesn't make any sense. It's the stupidest fucking scene in this movie. And there's a lot of stupid fucking scenes in this movie.
So this is the daughter.
Yes, and the granddaughter in the arms. This is Steven's ex-girlfriend. Steven left when he found out that his girlfriend was pregnant, realized that was wrong, and has tried to come back.
Well, that is a very stand-up guy thing to do,
The mom probably convinced him to come back. Not her, obviously, but Erin Gray.
Okay.
Erin Gray convinced him to come back. She had better hopes for him. Obviously, the daughter feels completely and utterly betrayed, doesn't want anything to do with her ex-boyfriend. Because they were never married.
Yeah, but, I mean, legally he still has an obligation to that child, and he still has the legal right as that child's father.
Yeah, nobody cares about that right now, considering it doesn't look like he has a job. I mean, she works for a TV station, and it doesn't seem like Steven has a job.
So, this is not the same guy.
Yes, it is. There's Jason.
No.
That's the guy.
The guy that was being shaved.
It is.
It is. Okay, well.
Same character.
I don't know.
Couple of the characters
shaving people, I guess.
Couple of the characters we missed we'll get back to soon. The two diner people. This is Andrew Block, by the way, whose IMDb picture is of him disintegrating in the scene that we will get to very soon. Yeah. Was in a Sinatra TV series. He was on T.J. Hooker, Barney Miller, MASH.
This one hell of a fight. Oh.
Non-consensual tongue fucking.
Oh, yeah. What is this?
This is Jason.
Yes, I know, but that tongue thingy.
That's Jason.
It's not like a slug or something?
That's Jason.
Ugh.
Ow. Ow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is not John.
Being thrown
That
up against the wall?
was not John at all. That was some actor. That was the stuntman in a bad wig. Oh! Oh, she got the point.
Oh. Wah, wah.
He doesn't stab her with a knife, though. He stabs her with a knife
A
sharpener.
knife
Did you
sharpener.
notice that?
Yeah, it's not even a sharp
Okay,
instrument.
it's right there. Oh, you missed it probably, but Jason looks down at John, but the mirror that Kane Hodder is supposed to be in, because it's not a mirror, it's a fake fireplace. The other side, the mirror that Kane Hodder is dressed as Jason in, is staring straight ahead when he's looking down at John.
Oh, so the images aren't actually mirrored.
No.
Oh, Erin Gray. Why'd she have to die?
She was really sexy in that uniform, too. We don't speak ill of the dead. We talk about what we want to do with the dead.
This is a great, finishing scene, fight scene, death for her. In a horror movie, it's an honor just to get a very good death scene.
Yeah, unlike the girl in the tent.
Yeah, with the jiggly boobs.
Do you think she got to finish coming before Jason killed her? I mean, the problem is that what you miss, because you don't see the unrated version, is she's basically getting double penetration.
Yeah. Wah, wah.
Oh.
If penetrating you are, say, a bed bug and has that knife penis that stabs through the torso, of the other bed bug, yeah, double penetration. You'd be an asshole for doing so.
I don't want to talk about bed bugs and know any more about what you're talking about, so we're not going to continue with that.
Yeah, okay. Look it up. They've got knife penises.
I don't want to know.
In the extended interviews of Crystal Lake Memories, the complete history of the Friday the 13th, 2013 documentary.
Which I have, by the way, the book and the Blu-ray of.
It said that the original rough cut was over 130 minutes long, so it had to be really heavily edited to be under 90 minutes.
A lot of fans really want to see that version of the original cut, and hopefully it's not just a bunch of pacing. I think one of the scenes that was cut that's in the comic book in the original script is the girl Vicky right here, who works as a diner as well. Mm-hmm. Her boyfriend is, because she takes the baby with her home, and when Steven is arrested, Jason follows her. She changes and then leaves when her boyfriend tells her to get the baby out of there because he doesn't like babies.
Okay.
And then they have an argument about, oh, well, I guess we're never going to have children together or something. She leaves with the baby. Jason comes in the house and then kills the boyfriend. And then looks up in the mirror again, sees himself, and then leaves. And then continues to try and track her down. This little girl, the baby, she's on the Crystal Lake documentary. This is the only thing she's ever done. But her parents showed her the movie when she was 12 years old, just to show her the scenes that she was in.
Oh, just those edited,
Yeah, they skipped ahead. They fast forwarded. They just the scenes that she's actually in. And then when she was much older, when she was a teenager, her and her friends got together and watched the whole movie.
Yeah, I can't imagine showing a 12-year-old the jiggly breast scene.
Probably not. But later on in life, when she probably was old enough to understand all of that. Do you think the C stands for Chicago on his jacket?
Cubs, maybe?
Yeah, think about it. Where was Friday the 13th, the series, supposedly set?
Well, it was
Chicago.
ambiguous.
But we kept hinting at Chicago a lot.
Yeah.
And Ryan was from Chicago. Whenever he would leave to go search for an object, he would say Chicago. That is an awful lot of blood on him from Erin Gray's back.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, the human body has what? How many pints of blood in them at any time? And she was
Uh,
stabbed through.
8 pints of blood.
And she was stabbed through. So,
Which is not a lot considering that we're supposedly, we are mostly water.
yes, 50% water.
Yeah, we are. Which someone's like, how is that possible? And I'm like, have you ever seen like a mummified corpse with all its organs still in it? Guess what? It's missing water.
Mm-hmm.
So this is she takes the baby with her and then has the argument with her boyfriend Jason and shows up. So I was a little ahead of it, but you take good care of her. Yep, I'm gonna fuck her tonight because later on he says I stole her mom's body, then I went home and fucked her daughter. You bet the saddest looking sack of shit I've ever seen. I love that line. Oh, Clayton Duke. This guy deserves his own movie.
So why is Clayton Duke in prison? I think I missed that.
Because he tried to strike the sheriff tried to strike him, and then he grabbed the sheriff after hitting. That was the diner scene between him and Aaron Gray.
Yeah.
But I do.
So he has this Jason Voorhees secret.
Yeah, which by the way never existed until this movie, ever.
Okay, all right. So he wasn't a character in some other movie, and this secret was relayed to him. Okay.
Nope. It's believed that in the original script, it's mentioned that Jason killed his sister, and he's been on the hunt for Jason. But it's like, people have asked, if this guy's been hunting Jason, why the hell doesn't he just like live in Crystal Lake and wait for Jason to show up? Or get a couple horny teenagers to smoke some weed and wait for Jason, use him as bait. Because he's not about letting people get killed for his own ambitions. It makes no sense that this guy's been hunting Jason. Jason doesn't go anywhere except for the one time he went to Manhattan. And the other time that he went to go kill Alice in part 2, because somehow he tracks Alice down at her home. The woman who killed his mother, which again, something else that doesn't make a lot of sense. The point is, he says he's been hunting Jason. What do you need to hunt?
Oh,
what
the finger
to hunt
crush.
somebody?
Oh.
Where are you hunting Jason if Jason lives in Crystal Lake? Right?
Yeah. I mean, he's a very localized, I guess, spirit.
Well, he's not a spirit. He's a.
Well, what is he? He's
a reanimated.
Zombie.
Well, after part 6, when part 6 comes around, he's a reanimated corpse.
But in this one, he clearly is like spiritual, going into other bodies with that glowy parts. So. Would he be considered a spirit in that instance?
Yeah, well, now he's like some type of deadite or something. He's some super zombified, super duper. He's some super duper deadite.
This finger crush is it's that sound, the celery. Ugh.
Boy, I don't think you can answer that question.
That's a very big price. Okay, so he's not going to break any more fingers.
This one's on the house. His two front teeth are fake.
Really?
Yeah, you can tell when he opens his mouth. They're completely discolored from the rest of his teeth. See?
Ah.
So, Friday the 13th, the original, which you really need to go watch, took place on Friday, June 13th, 1979. Why? Because in 1980, there was no Friday the 13th in June.
Okay.
In that movie, Jason drowns, or well, we never really see it happen. It happens in flashback. Pamela kills some campers that let her kid drown. She comes back years later, and kills a whole bunch of other campers.
All right. So in the first movie, the person responsible was actually the mother.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I kind of know it because people say things, but I haven't actually watched the movie, so.
Okay, so then Friday the 13th Part 2 takes place in 1984. On the other side of the lake from where Crystal Lake was, the camp was.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big lake. They just keep opening up camps around it.
It's like one of, by the Great Lakes, right?
No, it's in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Then, okay, so Friday the 13th Part 3 takes place just a month later on July 13th, 1984. Now, Friday the 13th Part 4 takes place the following day.
Okay.
Because Jason gets an axe to the head. I wouldn't say the following day, but supposedly a couple days later. So it's not Friday the 13th anymore. It's like Monday.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's Monday the 16th. Okay. By the way, there's a diner owner family. The guy next to Vicky has been on multiple television shows. Still working actor today. I remember being introduced to him on Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman.
He seems to be like a great character actor type of person.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he was on Desperate Housewives as well. I love how she answers the phone too. Yeah. Okay, so Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, takes place Monday, July 16th, 1984. Immediately after Part 3, because Jason gets an axe to the head in Part 3, the coroner picks him up, and the police pick up the lone survivor. He's brought to the morgue. He gets off at the morgue, and then goes back to Crystal Lake to terrorize Tommy Jarvis and Kristen, Marty's dad from Back to the Future.
Okay. Crispin Glover?
Crispin Glover. Not obviously the in the same house. They're partying friends. Then we get Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, that takes place in 1989. Big jump in the timeline. Why? Because Tommy is 17 years old at this point.
So Vicky, the babysitter, is just going to leave that baby in the box in the storeroom?
Yep.
What a babysitter.
Well, got nothing else to do with him. She makes a makeshift crib. Well, good thing Dad's there.
Exactly.
Okay, so then Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, which came out in 1986, takes place in 1990. So we're now in the future. Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, which came out in 1988, takes place in the year 2000. Why does it take place in the year 2000 when the last movie took place in 1990? Well, Tommy was now 21 years old.
Okay.
In Part 6. The end of Part 6, Jason is trapped below Crystal Lake with a rock chaining him down. And we go to the next film where the Carrie character, there's this girl with psychokinetic powers. She kills her abusive father by accident, and we see Jason at the bottom of the lake. Flash forward 10 years later, this young girl, now 18, gets angry at her psychologist, played by the actor from Weekend at Bernie's, who played Bernie, and her mother, aka RC from the Transformers movie, are pushing her to suppress her psychic energy, and she like rages out like Carrie in a fit of rage. It reawakens Jason Voorhees, now played by Kane Hodder, for the first time.
So this is the Voorhees house, right?
Yes, which we've never ever seen before. We've seen Jason's cabin in the woods in part 2, and that's it. Only in part 2 have we ever see the cabin. You also see the cabin, by the way, in the Friday the 13th video game. But yeah, this is the Voorhees house, which we have never seen before. Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, takes place in either 2001, 2002, or 2003. It came out in 1989. But in order for it to follow the timeline of what happened in the previous movie, it has to have taken place in the year 2000, the 21st century. Now, right here on the table is the Necronomicon, the actual prop from the Army of Darkness, which was being filmed right next door.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, they were filming the Army of Darkness. They asked Sam Raimi if they could borrow this prop. This is supposedly how Jason comes back to life.
So that's why you say he's a deadite, because his mother,
brought him back to life. Okay, so now we're at Jason Goes to Hell, which came out in 1993, but there's no confirmed date of when the movie takes place. It has to take place after Jason Goes to Hell, but not Jason Goes to Hell. It has to take place after Jason Takes Manhattan. But Jason Takes Manhattan ends with Jason turning into a child at the end of the movie due to toxic waste from the sewers of New York. Because New York floods their sewers with toxic waste to flush out the sewers at the end of the night. What? Yeah. By the way, a cruise ship goes from Crystal Lake to New York City.
It's a lake.
It's a cruise ship. A cruise ship would not fit down a river.
No.
It needs a body of water the size of an ocean.
Oh my god, okay.
Look at his old-ass cell phone, by the way. Look at that thing.
Well, when was this filmed?
1892?
Yeah, so these are like the beginning cell phones.
But supposedly there are flip phones coming back. There are flip iPhone. There are flip smartphones.
So he stole the body of the mother and put it inside the Voorhees house.
It's in the closet with Steven.
Yeah. That seems like a wise idea for a news reporter to actually do. Yeah.
Right. It's above Steven's head, by the way. He's like looking around. Steven's like eyeballs. Okay, now this is the scene where I wish Steven had like fallen through the floorboards, and he could have jumped up and saved this guy. And they could have overpowered him. But that doesn't happen. Ah!
Oh, gross. Yes.
Would you rather have this done to you, or a xenomorph implant its eggs inside you?
Depends on where they're being implanted.
You're face fucked and they're implanted in your stomach.
If you're talking like the Geiger xenomorph thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
all right.
This better?
Okay, so here's the incredible melting man.
Wow, that's some great effects.
We didn't see this happen to the mortician.
No.
The coroner. Sorry, not the mortician. The coroner.
Oh no, Aaron Gray's body.
Yeah. Somehow, because he hit. I guess maybe because he hit the wall.
That's some gooey corpse there.
Oh god.
Still wiggling.
Oh. The unrated cut of this is a little bit longer, and you see like the jaw coming off the face, dislocating from the head.
You know what this actually reminds me of is, do you remember the movie with Denzel Washington called Fallen? Where
I saw it once. I was not a fan of it.
I really liked it. You know, it was the demon Azazel kind of jumps from body to body, and he's a serial killer and all of that. And stars John Goodman as well.
Woo! Bra and panties scene. Oh no! Don't do that. Oh, see now we gotta. Oh, back shots. What's this?
I mean,
Gratuitous.
It's not real nudity, but I'm going to take a drink anyway.
Lame. We don't get to see anything.
Like, as a standalone horror film, so far it's not bad.
As its own supernatural horror movie, it's not bad.
Yeah,
but
as
as
its own supernatural movie.
Okay, so now we have Jason X. Jason X takes place in unknown time period after Jason Goes to Hell, but supposedly takes place after Freddy vs. Jason. Because if you watch Freddy vs. Jason, Freddy talks about how he can't come back because nobody remembers him, and he has to send somebody else to go after the kids of Crystal Lake. So while he's in hell, Jason is in hell with him. So he sends Jason to Earth from hell. So Jason gets out of hell in Freddy vs. Jason. And then in Jason X, the government at the very beginning of the movie has captured Jason and contained him in a government facility built on Crystal Lake. And the lead scientist, played by David Cronenberg, by the way, wants to experiment on Jason to find out about his regenerative capabilities.
And he wants to implant some chest vaginas, like in Videodrome.
No. Nope. Not laughing either, because that was pretty bad.
Sorry, bad joke.
That was really. I mean, I get it, but I was just like, oh. Stick to your day job.
Oh, I do. This is far from
yeah, sure. That was just not.
That was
anyway, so Jason escapes from the facility, but just before he kills the last person, she activates a cryogenic freezing, which freezes him. He stabs her just before he freezes, and she freezes along with him. Flash forward to the year 2455, and a school trip to Earth, or what's left of Earth, discovers the two life forms on Crystal Lake. Because by 2455, I guarantee we have fucked up the planet.
I would agree with that one. It's going downhill pretty fast. And that car is running over and over and over that body.
Okay, so that car's from Connecticut, by the way. You know, it's the license plate?
License plate, yeah.
Yeah, this is supposedly supposed to be New Jersey. But Connecticut, New Jersey, they're connected, aren't they? Are they?
No, Connecticut is like in the north, actually up near your way.
I know where Connecticut is. I'm asking what states Connecticut borders besides Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
Vermont?
No, that's further up.
That's further up. I do not know.
It's just funny because they're supposed to be in New Jersey, but that license plate said Connecticut. New York, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island.
Okay.
So not New Jersey. You're right, not New Jersey. New Jersey is on the other side of New York. Interesting. You border New Jersey, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Oh, right in the balls.
Yeah.
And then, oh.
I mean, from her perspective, she just saw him kill a guy, so...
And not just any guy. The guy she's going to marry, probably.
Even though in that one scene he was kind of struggling with her, that must have been confusing for her. Doesn't quite get the fact that he's probably dead.
How old do you think that baby is? What, 6 months? Can hold its head up, right?
Yeah, it can hold its head up. So probably like
6 to 8 months.
9, yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay, so she was pregnant and Steven was gone during the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, this is the first time I've had a chance to see my baby. So the baby's about 8 months old.
Yes.
So she had to have been dating that other guy at least for almost a year between the lateness of the pregnancy and when the baby was born to now.
I thought this was a new relationship.
No.
Yeah. He deserved that punch.
Oh, okay. Again, the police license plate also says Connecticut. They can't be that far from the Voorhees home.
No, they can't be.
And Crystal Lake, it has been said numerous times to be set in New Jersey.
Yeah, because no reason that a sheriff's car would have out-of-state license plates.
Correct. Now, is it small towns?
That's a hell of a headbutt.
Oh, and now, is it small towns that have Cunningham, by the way, look at that. Cunningham County, not a real county, unless it is. Cunningham, of course, is Sean Cunningham's last name. Notice their uniforms aren't blue.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived in a small town, and my cops all had blue uniforms.
I mean, I think it depends on how your police department is classified.
So there's a Cunningham County, but it is not located in the United States. It's in Wales.
Oh, yeah, that's completely made up for the. And he enters like Terminator, just walking straight into the police department.
Cunningham County is said to be located in either New Jersey or Connecticut, but all the license plates say Connecticut in the movie Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday.
Oh, there's that tongue again.
But Crystal Lake takes place in New Jersey.
Okay, so now she knows that this is not her boyfriend.
Here's another thing. The
move with a jump.
The coroner's office was in Ohio. Ohio is apparently a short drive to New Jersey, isn't it?
No.
According to this movie, it is. Do you know what the name of the town was in Ohio, in the state of Ohio, that the coroner's office was?
Early in the movie?
Yes.
I did not notice.
Springwood. And who lives in Springwood, Ohio, on Elm Street?
Oh, Freddy.
Yes. Wow, he looks worse for wear. Yeah. You got to give it to John though for that shot that we while we were talking, him running down the hallway and just pummeling bullets into the guy who's been fucking his baby mama.
I mean, that was a great shot. Like, perfect stance on the shooting. All the squibs going off.
Little history about Diane Kimball. Her real name is Diane Voorhees, obviously, because she is Jason's sister. She was the
Okay, is it weird that she keeps referring to her baby as the baby?
Yeah. Because shit script.
So I haven't heard her once say, like, my baby.
So here's the thing. Diane is the daughter of Pamela Voorhees and Eliza Voorhees, or she is only the daughter of Eliza Voorhees and not Pamela Voorhees. It's unclear. Because Pamela refers to Jason as her only child. However, she's also crazy. She killed a bunch of people, and this movie has 1,001 retcons.
Ooh, grabbing the gun.
A lot of people being told to fuck you.
Yeah.
Now, notice all the other diner patrons in that diner. There's a couple over to the left. There's a couple over to the right. We never really see them.
Oh, compound fracture. I mean, if I were a diner and shit just got real, like, I would be leaving there ASAP.
Pause your movie and then unpause it real quick. I
Okay.
think you're ahead.
Okay.
Pause and unpause real quick.
Okay.
I love that. Bam! Shotgun just pulled right up. John is a badass with that shotgun, with that gun. Let me tell you.
Totally.
Don't you want to make yourself a Voorhees burger like the way they did in the beginning of the movie?
Oh, yeah, just by taking regular burger and taking out the eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
So they can give their 2-for-1 burger special.
Shoot him
Yeah,
in the head.
He was already been shot in the head. Like, what other recourse do you have? I mean, even as a zombie, like, that's the way you kill a zombie, so. Ooh.
Oh, he is burnt up.
Oh, yeah.
Why wasn't Vicky more involved in this plot line to stop Jason? She's a badass.
That's a hell of a javelin, like, toss.
And she, like, freaking
Oh.
shoots Jason, like, 3 times with that shotgun. Okay, so a scene that is cut out of the rated version
Okay.
is Jason squeezes her head, and that's why his face is covered in blood. There's no reason why his face should be covered in blood when he stabs her with. Also, look at her face too. Right?
Yeah.
She shouldn't have that much blood in her face by being, stabbed through the abdomen with a javelin. She might cough up some blood, but she's got blood all over her face and her eyes. That's because the unrated cut, Jason squeezes her head like a melon.
Okay.
Dramatic close-up of John.
Yep.
Man, he's got that scream down like he did in Friday the 13th.
I mean, he is in a very precarious situation. He's surrounded by dead bodies.
Also, by the way, supposedly, so Diane marries a guy named Mr. Kimball, and they have the daughter Jessica together. Diane's been working at Joey B's diner since 1981 to the year 2000 when she's murdered. That's a long time to work at a crappy diner.
Yeah, a long time to be a waitress.
That is not a life goal job. But how many other jobs could there possibly be at Crystal Lake?
I hear the role of camp counselor is currently available.
Constantly available. Now, there's a sequel to Freddy vs. Jason Freddy vs. Jason called Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, in which Stephanie Kimball comes back all grown up. And in a rather uncomfortable scene, Stephanie, the little baby, and did you ever see A New Nightmare?
Maybe
That's
a
the one
long
where
time
Freddy.
ago.
That's the one where Freddy comes to the real world.
Oh, yeah, I did, but it's been so
Okay.
long.
So Stephanie and the little boy Jacob, all grown up as adults, have sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. they're both distraught because both of their respective parents are killed by Jason and Freddy.
Hmm.
And so they decide to have sex with each other. It's a little uncomfortable considering we've seen these two as a little baby and a 10-year-old boy.
Okay, so a knife just appeared in her
Yep.
hand from the old
Yeah,
knife?
yeah. Yep. And there's no other explanation why. It just happened because
Well, at least she's referring to the baby as her baby, or my baby, so
yeah.
I still don't consider it a believable performance that that's actually her child. Versus like Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters 2, where you really felt that that was her baby and she would do anything to get it back.
Or Sigourney Weaver in Aliens with Newt.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Sigourney
Which,
Weaver's just a great actress.
well, yeah, of course, and this woman is not. But there's two movies right there where Sigourney Weaver played maternal mother to her own child, Oscar, and to her adopted daughter, Newt. It felt as neither one is better than the other because I mean the reason why she feels so paternal to Newt is because I mean when she comes back to Earth after being missing for 63 years, she finds out her daughter died of cancer.
Mm.
Now, by the way, in Alien Isolation, the video game, which is a direct sequel to Alien the movie, her daughter goes in looking for her mother when she's an adult.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so there's the baby. That's the last time we see the baby. They put him in another makeshift crib, little bassinet thing or whatever the hell. Maybe that is a bassinet. Maybe that's a Voorhees bassinet. But that's it. It's the last time you see the baby until the end of the movie when you can clearly see Steven walking with something in his arm as they walk into the sunset or the sunrise.
Okay, so
Ah! Rhubarb through the leg is not fun. Not that I've ever had it happen, but okay. So, spoiler alert: this is not Jason. It's not Jason. That's Jason, and he's talking. What the fuck?
okay. Now I did list. I did read about these in the trivia that this is the only movie in which Jason is reported to actually speak.
Yeah, but it's not Jason. It's the body he's jumped into. And here's the question that's been asked: the coroner, the sheriff, and the reporter. He never talks, but the sheriff's deputy, the other deputy.
Yeah, that is,
Also,
I mean,
Jason
seems a bit weird.
Also, Jason has it out for the police force because he's killed what 2 deputies and the sheriff now.
And just like in Ghostbusters 2.
Oh wait, sorry, he didn't kill the sheriff. Jessica killed the sheriff.
Nice.
And out the ramen noodles.
Yeah. That is a nice cut.
All right, so there's supposed to be this hell demon thing. If you look up online, if you Google Jason Goes to Hell Demon, you can see what the actual hell demon was supposed to look like. This giant costume that this legless guy was supposed to be in, and they cut the budget and they had to do this puppet thing, which looks stupid as hell, and is on the cover to the DVD, by the way. The DVD has Jason's silver hockey mask with the snake-like demon circling through the eyes.
Yeah, I see it on the IMDb profile pic. So
yeah, what the fuck is...
So this is the Jason demon?
That's Jason, yeah. That's what we're led to believe. Jason is this demon thing. Oh, the crate right behind the body of Aaron Gray's character is that is Fluffy's crate from Creepshow.
Oh. That's cool. You know, this also reminds me a little bit of the movie The Hidden from, it's another New Line Cinema production, 1987, by Jack Shoulder, written by Bob Hunt. But basically, it's like an alien that goes into bodies, kind of in the same way that this one does, you know, through the mouth. So they have to take the ceremonial knife and only her, the mother there, has to plunge it into Jason's heart, and then he's actually dead, according to Clayton, right?
Jason's niece, yes. Don't forget, she's Jason's niece. Okay, so Jason was reborn through Aaron Gray's vagina, because that was disgusting. But why does he come back looking like the way he does? Wouldn't he come back in a brand new, fresh... Well, besides that, why does he come back in the decaying body still? Why wouldn't he come back in a fresh, brand new body?
Well, unless he is, semi-spectral, and that shape that you're seeing is really just his energy. And so when he went into the body and became reborn, he was granted a physical form, but that physical form is basically shadowed by this tangible spectral body, which is why that he could have clothing and a mask and be semi-putrefied, and have it be believable. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, I've seen this fight scene before between Jason and John D Lemay, and it's just awesome. Like he gets tossed around.
Kane Hodder and John D Lemay.
Okay.
There's no explanation about why the knife did its glowy little thing. There's no explanation of why it has to be her. I mean, other than the prophecy or the curse or whatever the hell it is. Wildstorm Comic Books, which was a division of DC Comics, had the rights to produce Jason Friday the 13th comic books, and they technically still do, I guess, because Friday the 13th is owned by either Warner Brothers or Paramount. But obviously, because of the lawsuit, there hasn't been any new Friday the 13th merchandise made. But Friday the 13th kind of lends itself to a comic book series, and no one ever did it. But there was a few miniseries here and there, and it explained that Native Americans, because the white people came and destroyed and raped and pillaged and murdered them, would summon a vessel once a generation to enact their revenge on the white folk, and they happen to find the vessel in the body of a drowned 12-year-old boy named Jason.
Oh, so that's their reasoning.
That's one explanation about why Jason comes back the way he is, because he's a Native American curse brought to life.
I mean, just as believable as any other origin story.
I would rather believe that the Necronomicon did it. In Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, when Freddy gets the Necronomicon, he actually uses it to revitalize Jason's body because Jason looks so chewed up at that point. He's missing one of his arms. His mask is broken in half. Half his face is missing. His jaw is hanging off. So he uses the Necronomicon to completely revitalize Jason's body.
Okay, so all those little flashy bits...
Don't ask. I don't know. They're just... There's no explanation. They're not souls because that's not Jason. That was Freddy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, so was that the evil? Is it summoning heaven to call hell? It doesn't make any sense. That just what? So now heaven is hurting him?
If he is a Deadite, then some of this might make sense.
Right, but even when the Deadites are defeated, there's not like portals going up and down like an elevator doing stuff. Yeah. Oh, hey, honey, don't try and save Steven's life. Just sit there and watch.
I mean, honestly, like, she hated him, but this is her baby's daddy. Like, she should, and she does, save him from this. But
I mean, overall, this is a really kind of silly monster supernatural movie with Jason in it, but as a Friday the 13th movie, this movie makes zero sense whatsoever. There nothing in this movie is understandable at all.
And the light shrinks upon our bad guy.
And then it turns into a mask with the little light show, which is happening right now. If you look really closely, there it is. I mean, the movie shot really well. It looks better than any of the previous Friday the 13th movies.
And considering that I have very little experience with this movie and the rest of the franchise, it's as a standalone movie, it is an enjoyable movie. Had they added a few little things to explain what was going on, it could have been just a standalone movie.
And again, when anyone asks where's the baby, it's clearly Steven is holding something.
Yeah.
And he's looking down at it, she's looking down at it, at her.
I don't know.
And they're walking to the sunrise. Now, here's the thing. That looks more like a sunset than a sunrise, right?
Oh, there could be identical, really.
And,
Depends
of course,
on where you're facing.
There's Jason's mask, which got a polish, apparently, because it's really silver now. And this dog comes over in like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. There it is. Aw.
Like, John definitely had the baby in his hands, but there was really very little concern over the baby.
Well, after they started fighting Jason, the baby, I mean, she probably checked to make sure the baby would be okay, and then... Okay, so that's Freddy's glove. This sparked the whole, oh my god, they're going to do Freddy versus Jason at some point, which didn't happen until 2003, and this movie came out in 1993. The actor who plays Freddy in that scene is not Robert Englund, it's Kane Hodder. So Kane Hodder got to play Jason and Freddy in the same movie, and he's the only actor to ever play both Freddy and Jason.
Oh, wow.
I want to point out that Billy Greenbush's name, Sheriff Landis, is named after John Landis, the director of the Thriller video from Michael Jackson, An American Werewolf in London.
Well, with Kane Hodder, there's actually a pretty good story on IMDb about him, because he was burned over much of his body for a stunt gone wrong. He has some disfigured and discolored skin around the below his neck. So,
oh yeah.
So a young child of a crew member basically was scared when he was taking off the Jason outfit, and instead of scaring the kid, he just calmly and sweetly just picked up and hugged him and told him that his body, quote, just looked a bit different, unquote, and that there's nothing to be afraid of. And so it was just this really touching moment between Kane Hodder and this kid. And he just spends a lot of his free time at children's hospitals.
There is an entire documentary that came out this past summer about Kane Hodder's life as a stuntman, as well as him talking about his accident, which he caused to as he put it, his own negligence. He tried to do a stunt that badly, wrongly. And he talks about it in the middle of the documentary. I interviewed the director of the documentary. I've talked to Kane before. I've met Kane probably dozens of times. But I also have his book, too, The Most Prolific Serial Killer in Hollywood Cinema. That part of the book is brutal to read. It's like 3 chapters, and it is terrifying. But Kane talks and meets with the doctor that like saved his life, and he talks with the daughter of the woman who saved his life, because there was a woman that let him come into her house with his skin like falling off the bones and stuff. Yeah, and it's in graphic detail. I'm not going to get into much more about it, but you can go find the Kane Hodder documentary. It's really, really good. It's a lot of fun to watch when he gets into stuff about his career as well. But the stuff about the burn is pretty bad to try and get through. But that was it. That was our coverage of the Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. The reason we did it is because John D Lemay came on our show. He's in Jason Goes to Hell. It's the reason why I watched Friday the 13th, the series. Because I only had briefly heard about it, but once I saw Jason Goes to Hell, I was like, I know that actor. He was on that TV series, Friday the 13th. So I watched Friday the 13th, the series, when he was on it. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Film Dungeon Commentary, part of the Radio Horror Network. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And come back couple weeks, we will have another Film Dungeon Commentary for either The Craft or Batman Under the Red Hood, which one of the two happens to come out first? I don't know. All right, you can cut the audio.
Okay.
You can cut the recording.